Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
Yo, you tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Levels. I'm Jeremy Long. We're coming to you live at the Gorilla Cross Studios here in downtown Las Vegas, right off of Fremont Street, where they had the little light shows. You know, if you've ever come down here, you're probably used to the 3-foot-long beers and things like that, margaritas you can get in the plastic cups. But no, we're not doing that right now. We're gonna have some fun here. I'm usually joined by my co-host Cassandra Cousineau. But that is not Cassandra Cousineau. That is my good friend, Michael Price, MP. MP, how the heck are you this evening?
I thought we were doing our other show still. What the hell, man? You lied to me, too. No, I'm doing good, dude.
Yeah. You got to mix it up a little bit.
No, I'm excited to be here, man. It's a great show. I look forward to listening to it and, down the road being a part of it in different segments. So, dude, let's get it on.
Man, I'm happy.
Like
I'm happy you're here, man.
That Mills Lane thing I did right there.
Yeah, let's get it on, man. And of course, producer extraordinaire Quan59 over here dropping beats, doing our thing. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. This show is kind of like the Final Countdown, only it's a little more concussive because we're gonna deal with boxing, mixed martial arts, all combat sports. So if you have anything to say, you're a boxing fan, you're a mixed martial arts fan, be sure to hit us up. At any time, 702-608-3259 is the call-in number. You can call in at any time. Give us your thoughts. We're going to start where we always start, and that's the UFC. Man, UFC Fight Night this past weekend saw a lot of good action. I know, Mike, you played some catch-up with it. You didn't get to see it live. You played some catch-up. Overall, I mean, looking at the main card, Mike, what'd you think going back and looking at the action?
Man, it was a great fight. Didn't know what to expect. Didn't go as long as I thought it was going to go because it told me it was going to be 18 minutes long.
That was more the walkouts.
Right.
That was the walkouts.
And then, when I looked at it, it was, it was a great fight. Is it Hermansson? Is that how you pronounce it?
Hermansson.
Yeah, Hermansson, he did his best to try to get Cannonier or Jarrett down on the ground. Couldn't get him down in the beginning of the fight. Looked like he expended a lot of energy, and then at the end, he caught those hands.
The main events on Jared Cannonier and KO Jack Hermansson in the second round. 29 seconds in the second round.
Yeah.
And like you said, Jack did have some early fight success, even getting a nice suplex on Cannonier, putting him on his back. But he showed Cannonier has hit a different level. This is a guy who used to fight at light heavyweight, I believe, and has dropped down to middleweight and has found a new level to his career. This guy he has concussive power in those fists, because we saw with Jack Hermansson, he came in a shot early in the second round and caught a short uppercut.
Crushed him.
Put my man. You ever do that where you look, you just turtle up, like you deal with something, you just turtle up and you're just like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. Yeah, that looks like what Jack was saying. He was like, yeah, no more of this. He didn't even offer any kind of defense. He just turtled up and said, hey, please stop punching me in the head. Quan, did you happen to catch these fights, my man?
I did not. I think he was heavyweight before. I'm not sure, but I saw
Was he heavyweight?
He was up there. I know he was a big dude, but I saw his before and after picture of, when he was a heavier weight than he is now, man. And like the difference is amazing.
Yeah.
But he won the fight, and it kind of killed my skepticism of UFC fighting in other countries, because they've been fighting in other countries.
Right.
And every fighter from the other country wins, because I know they're trying to build up UFC around the world, and it was a little skeptical, or I was a little skeptical of it. So I was kind of happy to see the non-hometown boy win this fight.
Yeah, I always like it when fighters. It's something about, I like it when fighters can go into an arena that's really jacked to see their hometown guy and get silenced.
Yeah,
they silence the whole arena.
I love that.
I don't know why. Like in football and stuff like that, I'm like,
basketball.
I kind of feel bad.
Yeah,
but in fighting, I'm like, I love it so much. I absolutely eat it up. Cannonier is on now a 3-fight win streak, wins against the legendary Anderson Silva, the journalist, much respected journalist, Anderson Cooper, and David Branch, of course, the longtime champion, David Branch.
And yeah,
So,
UFC 182, he did fight at heavyweight.
he did fight at heavyweight. Okay. Thought it was light heavyweight, but no. So a heavyweight fighter coming down, almost like Anthony Rumble Johnson, when he would Rumble would try to make welterweight.
Yeah, like stop it, dude.
Huge guys coming down, cutting all this weight. But right now, it's working for Jared.
In the last 3 years, he was a light heavyweight. So he went down from that.
So there you go. I was technically right, and that's the best kind of correct. It's technically.
Yeah, but looking at the fight, when I was looking at Hermansson, I know I've seen him fight before, and he's a really technical fighter. And it looked as if he was going to be able to impose his technique onto Cannonier, but I don't know if he got winded, but it just seemed like he just started going, all right, this isn't going to work. And like you said, Cannonier put that uppercut on him. Right. And I actually thought that Hermansson was going to be able to get up. And then all of a sudden, he was just soaking those punches in on the ground. And then when the ref stopped it, he didn't move. He didn't protest. He laid there. He took it. And, he even took the stool. He did not have a problem with sitting down in the stool. He was like, no, I need to sit down. I need to sit down.
Well, that's what I'm kind of alluding to. Cannonier has really concussive power, and it's almost you can't tell by the little shots that they exchange in the pockets like that, because he hit him with a couple of different uppercuts in their exchanges and coming to stopping some of these takedown attempts from Jack, where he would just catch him as he was coming in, wasn't landing that clean blow that he needed until the second round. But those little shots add up. Mm-hmm. And if you have a specific game plan in mind, and if you're like, your game plan is, okay, I got to get this guy to the ground, and he keeps stuffing your takedown attempts, and the one takedown you do get, he instantly hops back up. One, you've expended a lot of energy. Number two, it can play with your psyche as well. You see a lot of great fighters get defeated going, I can't take this guy down, and every time I'm shooting in, I'm eating a ton of punches here, and eventually it just caught up to him, and you saw we got the result that we got. And Cannonier, like I said, moves to a 3-fight win streak. He might be a fight maybe 1 or 2 fights away. He puts it together for as a middleweight title shot. What do you think? I could see that happening. The middleweight title also, being defended this weekend. Robert Whitaker and Israel Adesanya. So I could see, a couple more wins. I could make the case. You could make the case for Jared Cannonier hopping in there and getting a title fight.
Well, from what I saw, I don't know, because he was number 8 ranked, if I remember the number.
9.
Was it 9? Yeah, right. I knew he was down there, and that kind of caught me by surprise, looking at this being the fight of that magnitude. Yeah. But as we were talking about, it was in a different country, and they took the guy who, Hermansson, who was the hometown hero, and he was able to relate, be able to get a big crown based around that. And so, hey, if he doesn't move up the ranks based on this fight, I don't know what's going to move him up. Yeah,
and actually the new rankings did come out, and he's now number 5.
Number
5 ranked middleweight. So, like I said, a couple more fights. Or
does he stay there? And that same, is that where he stays now? Is that his lane?
Middleweight?
Yes.
Looks like it. He's having success. If you can bring that kind of power to middleweight, you take out a couple of really good guys, David Branch, Anderson Silva, and Jack Emerson. It's hard to argue against that. And I could see him actually maybe getting the loser of this title fight that's coming up this weekend, maybe a title eliminator or something like that. And if he wins that, maybe getting the title fight. But hats off to him, man. I've actually chatted with Jared a couple of times. Really cool dude. Really cool guy. Just very laid back. But he'll put those damn hands on you.
I'm sure he would.
In Bellator 228 was live from the Forum in Inglewood, California. One of these.
Don't know if it was the best fight that night in Inglewood. But
I don't know. Probably not. I have stories from Inglewood, but I won't get into that right now. We saw Musasi taking on Lyoto Machida, kind of a replay from their fight in 2014 in the UFC. Both guys at that time in the UFC, high-level guys. Lyoto Machida comes out with that victory in 2014. This time, Machida would be on the other end of a split decision loss to Gegard Mousasi. And did anyone catch this fight here?
I didn't catch the fight, but let me ask you a question. Did he really get revenge? I mean, and not to take anything away from Bellator, but obviously it's in what my considerations, a step down as far as the rankings or the fight is concerned. So yes, he won, but did he really? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna get into, man.
I'm sorry, man.
No. It's a good point. Did he actually win? Because it happens a lot, especially in fighting. Athletes, they drop off real quick.
Right.
A half a second difference in the time it takes you to throw a punch or avoid a punch or whatever can mean everything in this in combat sports. And you're starting to see these two guys who have been top level for so long, champions, across the board. It's kind of like in football, right? You got two teams. Now, what did we just see here? Are both of these guys really high level? They canceled each other out, or are these guys starting to show their age? I mean, Machida's 41,
exactly,
40, 41. Musashi is not far behind. I mean, and in the fight world,
that's old.
It's a little old,
yeah.
So I mean, is that what we're seeing there? But oh man, it hurts me a little bit because Machida's probably been one of my favorite fighters. He's a legend, but he's been one of my favorite fighters. And to watch I'm sure a lot of people who were fans of like the Iceman or BJ Penn now, you were fans of him. You see these guys, you're like, oh man, just
stop.
Yeah,
just stop.
You don't ever want it to happen. You don't want your the people you like to watch get old or whatever, or maybe you're a Madonna fan and now she's on stage wearing those outfits and you're like, oh my God,
just stop it, woman.
Stop it,
go
please.
home. Go to your children.
It hurts everything, my eyes, my heart.
Well, hell, we talked about it. A friend of the show, Frank Mir.
Yeah.
And shouts out to Frank Mir, love him to death.
Right.
But at some point, you got to go. You need to stop it. So Machado, is it one of those points where it's like, all right, yes, I want to take this fight. It's a rematch. It got all the hype it needed to get. But now all of a sudden they it was a split decision and he lost.
Yeah. No, excuse me. I don't see it happening for Machida. Before this, he was on a 5-fight win streak. He did have some success since coming over from UFC. He is a former champion and he fights in a style that he doesn't absorb a ton of punishment. He does have trouble with guys who come directly at him and pressure him a lot. He's a counter striker of legendary status. But when you put the pressure on him a lot, and when you transition those angles and things like that, he does have trouble. And you see it with Musashi, you see it with John Jones, these guys that beat him handedly. That it can be difficult for a guy like that to really find momentum and gain momentum when he doesn't have time to set up and throw punches like he likes to. And, is he going to continue to see that? He'll still find success in Bellator because at this point, their roster is not as deep. They're still trying to build stars, so they're still leaning on that, Machida's star power, Musashi's star power, things like that. But they got to get to a point where they're creating different things because it doesn't happen. What happens all the time, Father Time is undefeated. Eventually, these guys are going to peace out. You got to have new stars built up. And so, we may be seeing it. It may not come for another 2 years or so, but it looked to me, these guys looked a little bit like the age has caught up to them.
Okay. No, that was my next question to you. You saw the fight.
Yeah.
Do you see it? Was it a combative fight to you? Would you have paid to go see the fight?
Would I have paid? Yes, I would have paid. I would have paid just because I'm a Machida fan.
All right.
But would I rely on that for the future?
Christmas decorations. That is what you just saw there.
Yeah. Looking at this, what the hell are we doing here? This Christmas decorations
the hell with
going
Halloween,
on.
the hell with
Christmas
Thanksgiving. Right.
Yeah, it's okay. There's stuff going on here. People are moving stuff around. But, I would pay because I would love to see these guys before they retire. Kind of like, if I could have paid to see a Dan Henderson fight before he retired or something. One of my all-time favorites, or a Chuck Liddell fight in person or something like that.
I would have paid to see that. If you can roll Chuck out today, I'd probably go see him.
But what would you pay for what was Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz.
No, that was
last
just,
year.
Last year. Would you pay top dollar for that?
No, I was just joking when I said roll him out.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it was garbage.
I don't,
It was-
you know,
and I don't want him to get hurt.
People did, and he did get hurt.
Yeah, I don't want people to get hurt.
Ah, man, it hurts my heart, man. Chuck Liddell. But yeah, man. Eventually, they got to start making more stars, and it kind of leads me into my point of looking at Bellator and what they're doing. I think for all they do wrong, which the Kimbo Slice Dada 8,000 or whatever that dude's name was, you know, those kind of junky fights that they put on from time to time, just, you know, and you have these older stars main eventing, and Fedor's on his last legs and he's main eventing, and Frank Mir, who's a good friend of ours, you know, we love the guy, but you have these guys who have seen many battles, they've seen lots of fights, they're starting to age out of this. You got to start creating your stars, and I think that's where UFC is at the corner. They've had the corner on the market forever. You're starting to see a little bit more investment from Bellator and their young fighters, and most notably, Michael Venom Page, AJ McKee, James Gallagher, who is Conor McGregor's protege.
Okay.
I saw a brilliant moment a couple weeks ago when they were in Dublin. Brilliant moment where Gallagher wins his fight in like 35 seconds or something like that. He instantly jumps over the rails, and whose arms does he fly into? Conor McGregor.
No way.
Instantly.
Never saw that coming.
Man, I loved it. I was like, that's a great marketing moment right there. And the pictures were all over social media. And of course, it's Bellator, you know, and everything. And they're like, oh, you know, Conor McGregor's here with his protege. Lots of eyeballs.
Yeah, no.
I love that. I love that it's, you know, even if you didn't know who this guy was, and maybe you're just maybe a fringe UFC fighter, you see it in Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. Most people who have any kind of small understanding of these sports knows who Conor McGregor is.
Oh,
that's how
definitely.
big his star is.
Yeah.
So when you can put your young star in with a guy like Conor McGregor and give him that, pro wrestling term, that rub, then you're creating someone that is can't miss. He's already almost can't miss. He sells out arenas almost by himself. In
Internationally
Dublin
or here in the States?
Internationally, in Dublin.
Okay.
He's from Ireland, so
Okay. No, just
you know that. But they're building that, and I think that's very smart.
how long is this contract with Bellator? Do you know? I mean, and I'm just asking.
They probably have them locked down for years.
Okay.
Multi-year, multi-fight contracts.
See, and that to me, that's going to make a big difference because in my mind, when I think of Bellator, I think of, you know, and excuse the term, washed up. You know, I think about fighters who have had their day, so they need to find another payday, so
Right.
they go to Bellator.
Right.
So in order for Bellator to have the prestige that I give the UFC, they are going to have, you know, the James Gallaghers in the world be their light and come. Then they're going to need to have some more. You know,
Right.
they got to have every division. You know, I need to see a heavyweight fighter who's not over 40. You know, I need to see a middleweight, a light heavyweight fighter that's not over 40. You know, to give me a reason to want to watch, because I don't, you
Right.
know, the fact that Anderson Silva is still fighting out there is just, it blows my mind. It's like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. You know, let's go on. People are still going to give you checks just because of your name alone. But I want to see this new blood. I mean, that's the reason they got me.
Right.
You know, John Jones was new when I started watching this, and that was
Right.
one of those intriguing things.
Right.
So for Bellator to step up, get to where I think they want to go, because they get the money. I mean, hell, God, I can't think of the Paramount. You know, they're paying them
Yeah,
a
Paramount,
boatload of money.
Yep.
You know, to be on a weekly basis. So, you know, go out here, pay your people. You know, get your farms right.
Do it.
Do your
Yeah,
thing.
dude. And even just, I mean, you have many years in sports marketing and things like that. I mean, how important is that to constantly have that pipeline of younger stars come through? Because you know, in fighting, you're only as good as your last win.
No, that's it, man. You know, you want to get brands. You're creating new brands. What they have been doing, and you can't, you know, knock them for it, is they've been taking brands that are already out there. They bring them over here, and then they shine those lights. The tournament that they had last year that Frank was involved in.
Right.
You know, the rise to the top with the heavyweights. You know, it was 5 guys who fought 10 years ago. You know, and again, and it's not a knock, 'cause they could all kick my butt. You know, but it's one of those things. You know, can you fight the John Bones? You know, can you fight the DCs of the world?
Yeah.
You know, those guys are still doing their thing. So, you know, hats off to them. You know, I look forward to seeing where they go with all their new stars and hopefully they tweak something.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And kind of looking at it too, last point on this is that, Bellator obviously doesn't do pay-per-view, so they're not really worried about pay-per-view buys at this point. They're more of like getting eyeballs on TV sets. UFC had a point where for a couple of years, Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor were their pay-per-views. That was where all of the vast majority of their pay-per-views buys came from these two stars. And when Ronda got head kicked into the shadow realm, and when Conor McGregor wasn't fighting, those pay-per-views would fall off. So you need those kind of guys. You may not like Ronda Rousey, you may not like Conor McGregor, but as the tide brings everyone else up.
Come on.
And that's how
Floyd
fighters
Mayweather.
make more money and things like that. Yes,
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather
Yeah.
and these guys like that. So you have to have those kind of stars to replenish and put back in the quiver, because without them, what are you? I don't know.
You're nothing.
You're some other group.
Yeah.
We're
Garbage.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick 30-second break here. Little music, a little read through, and when we come back, we're gonna talk some more boxing and stuff like that.
Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
This is your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
Tune in to Let the Ball Bounce on Gorilla Cross Radio.
Every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time.
And every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Coast time. Your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
And if you're scared,
You better go to church. Yo, you tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
Welcome back to Levels. Jeremy Long, Michael Price, Quan59, the Gorilla Cross Studios here in downtown Las Vegas, having fun talking some MMA, talking about sports marketing, MMA. We're talking about some boxing.
Love it.
Now.
Slip that one in there.
Yeah.
Sports marketing, folks.
Well, yeah, it's very important. I think it's very important for all of these things. But it's so crazy, right? Because they don't have teams. The UFC is a brand, I guess. Bellator is a brand. But, they depend wholeheartedly on these fighters to attract eyeballs to wherever, whether it's pay-per-view or TV.
Right.
So, I mean, you're only as popular as the
Here's your
fighters
brand.
that you have on your roster, I guess. So speaking of popular, a fight of the year candidate happened last weekend, and I don't know if you're a fight fan, you may have missed this one, but Errol Spence, Spence-Porter put on a fight for the ages for these titles here. Man, initial thoughts. Is it getting too much hype? Or is it warranted? Quan, what do you think, just coming off this fight between Spence-Porter and Errol Spence?
Turn my mic on.
There you go.
I actually didn't even see the fight.
Oh, come on.
It's one of those weekends.
He has people, man.
I got people.
He got people, man.
You got people.
He got people.
I
He
didn't
got a
watch it.
business.
I got so much stuff going on.
I'm going to act like a woman and say it's my birthday month. So you get excuses why you didn't do things. But, yeah,
Well-
I didn't see the fight, and I'm disappointed I didn't see it because it was better than I thought it was going to be from what I heard.
No, and you know what? And Quan is right on that one. It was a lot better than everyone presumed it was going to be. The money line definitely spoke that Errol Spence was going to run through him. But again, Spence-Porter, friend of the show.
Yeah.
If you're in Las Vegas, you may see Spence-Porter at Smith's. Right now, but have on some sunglasses.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. And he has confidence, man. He's a brawler. He has confidence. There was a size differential, as far as Spence and Porter was concerned, but he fought through it, man. He took the punches, absorbed some, which you don't want to always do, but yeah, man, he put up a hell of a fight. And we saw Errol Spence's face at the end of the fight, and you could tell that he caught something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely it wasn't a walk in the park for Spence. And we knew it wasn't going to be because Spence-Porter is not that kind of fighter.
No.
He's not going to let someone bully him around the ring. And he's been in there with a lot of top welterweights,
some of the best.
some of the very best, and he's got a couple of losses or whatever, but his losses are to the very best as well. So we knew that it was going to be a dogfight, and that was Sean Porter's. I don't want to say only path to victory, but that was his best path to victory.
Brawl.
Was making it a dogfight,
Right.
getting in, and do some dirty boxing with him. Get Earl to step out of his comfort zone and do some things and maybe hesitate and catch a punch and end up on the canvas.
No, you're the professional. You're the guy. You're the analyst here. Is he a dirty fighter? Because that was the one thing that I heard. Sean Porter, dirty fighter. Dirty fighter. Spence in his camp, dirty fighter, dirty fighter. It's boxing. What am I missing?
Yeah.
What am I, other than Mike Tyson biting somebody?
I don't think he's a dirty fighter. I think there's a lot of collisions with his head. He's a smaller guy at
Right.
welterweight. He's not as tall. He goes in a lot. Maybe he gets a little rough with his elbows, and his head
Comes up.
and likes to catch people right under here, and so, a lot of guys can see that as dirty. He's not poking people in the eye. He's not intentionally hitting guys below the belt. Yeah, I've heard it too. And I even asked Sean before. He's been on a show of mine before, and I asked him. I was like, "What do you think about this?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." He laughs it off. I've asked his dad, who's a great guy. His dad laughs it off. And of course they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a dirty fighter." I know that. I'm not dumb. But do I think all the Sean Porter fights I've ever watched, and I've watched a lot of them. No, he's not a dirty fighter. I don't believe that. I don't know. You know what? I think it's better to ask someone like our friend Bill Corrigan or someone like that who's been in the ring.
Right.
And he fought a Klitschko brother, done stuff like that. Is Sean Porter a dirty fighter? I don't believe he is.
No, I don't. I've seen a lot of his fights. And he just seems like he's fighting.
But that's why they got a ref in the ring.
Yeah,
If you're dirty, you're gonna get penalized for it.
Yeah.
No, all
Absolutely.
the time.
We saw in the Tyson Fury Otto Valine fight, when Tyson already had the cut on his eye and it was bleeding profusely. We saw after the bell, Otto Valine reach up and grab his cut and try to dig his thumb in there to keep the cut bleeding and everything else. That to me is a dirty move. I don't say accidental, headbutts. Because then you would Evander Holyfield. You would say he was a dirty fighter because he headbutted a lot of guys. And in fact, that's what Mike Tyson said led to the ear bite and everything. Him butting heads with guys, but that necessarily makes somebody a dirty fighter. I guess if they consistently do it, I don't know. Again, I would probably have to defer to someone like Bill Corrigan or, Roy Jones Jr. or some of these guys that, come in and out of our shows that, is this guy a dirty fighter or not? I don't think so.
Well, coming out of the Spence-Porter fight, what are your thoughts on Garcia-Spence matchup? Mikey Garcia. Or Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, the bigger one.
That was very awkward.
Yeah.
That was a very awkward thing. They set up this interview and have Danny Garcia
sitting next to him.
Yeah, I like it that these guys are professional enough that, it's not like the old days, the 80s and 90s where guys were jumping off of cars and cold cocking guys, at pressers. Mike Tyson saying he's going to eat somebody's kids, stuff like that. But these guys are professional enough to sit by each other and just say the things that they're going to say. You know what I'm saying? But seeing this, Danny Garcia, has Danny Garcia done enough to fight the newly unified WBC and IBF welterweight champion?
But doesn't he have a belt?
Does Danny
I
Garcia?
don't know. I'm asking.
There's so many belts up there.
There's so many alphabet belts. I don't think he does.
That's what we
because
call him.
Pacquiao has one and Terrence Crawford
Okay.
has the other. So no, I don't think he does. Unless he has a smaller one or something like that.
Okay.
But I don't think he's done enough to warrant a call out. Everybody's going to call you out. You're the champ, and that's a good money fight for you. But they kind of almost like verbally agreed to fight right there. Yeah, sure. Earl Spence.
You call my man, I call your man.
Spence
Let's
is
do
no
it.
punk, man. He's a good Texas guy, like your boy here. He's not going to back down. We could throw these hands. You don't want this smoke. All kinds of saying stuff like that. But is Danny Garcia really in a place to call out somebody like Earl Spence? At this point, I'd say no. I thought it was really awkward. I will say this. I don't really I'm not a big fan of putting guys in those positions when they just fought.
Emotions.
Yeah, emotions are high. I don't like it when other guys get in the cage in MMA. these guys have just fought like 5 rounds. I don't like it in boxing when they come there. I know it's good dramatic TV, stuff like that. I'm not a fan of it because you say things, you commit yourself to something that you and your team haven't really talked about, your coaches haven't really talked about, and you're a fighter.
Right.
All these men and women who get in here and do that have all my respect in the world. You're a fighter, though. What are you going to say? Nah, bro. Nah, man.
I'm good.
I'm good, bro. I saw what you did to the last guy. I ain't going to get that.
I don't
dude.
need none of that.
They say yes instantly. But I think it signs you up for a lot of stuff that maybe you are not trying to do, or maybe that's not the path that your promoter or manager or whoever coaches have put up for you. So I don't know. A lot of people like it because they like the drama of 2 fighters sitting there doing that kind of stuff. But me, I think it's awkward because real quick, a couple years ago at Comp 92.3 at the Rock Station here, we had Carlos Condit and Robbie Lawler come in the studio at the same time. It was right before their title fight, or right before their fight. And they were in the same studio, not even 6 feet away from each other. And you're talking 2 of the most violent men in the world. And they're asking him questions like, so what are his weaknesses? How do you plan on kicking him in the head? And these guys are just looking at each other. They're like, oh, it is what it is.
That's
just think it's super awkward to
right.
do. And I think it's incredibly funny when it does happen.
Can I say something totally unrelated to any of this? I'm reading the script here, and I went, what does 50 Cent have to do with this? Why are we talking about 50? It's like, oh, fight of the year. I'm sorry.
You can't read my typing?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. Trying to be funny, not my show. I'll get back in my lane. I'm back in my lane.
So
now.
anyway, if the Garcia fight does happen with Spence, they're aiming for the end of January, maybe January 25th. November 23rd here in Vegas. New fight capital of the world, right? Here in Vegas. Wilder Ortiz 2 happening at T-Mobile. And you look at this is a sticky situation for Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. If you don't remember, Luis Ortiz is the guy who very nearly put Wilder away in the 7th round of their fight a while back. And he is a concussive puncher as well. Ortiz is big old 800-year-old Cuban guy. But 800-year-old Cuban men are very tough guys. And I don't see why Wilder, I know he's got to do this. He wants to jump back in it to get back to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury had a hard time with Otto Valine, but what's the upside for Wilder here? Because he's the only guy that's got stuff to lose.
Pride. I think with boxers or anybody in contact sport, any athlete, pride can make you just do things that you shouldn't do. That's why you have management teams. Right. And obviously his management team was not able to tell him, hey, this isn't something we need right now. Right. And that's where you absorb it. And that's say you, because no, baby, you can knock him out. We got you on this one. But the path that we're taking right now, this isn't the path for us to get those big paydays that we talked about. Because we're not saying he can win. We're saying if there's a slip up, and it's all how you put it to somebody, if there's a slip up, this can knock us off that path to get those paydays that we want to get. It's massaging the ego, man, because they're egotistical. They're alpha males. They can beat everybody. And for more, they probably can. They're heavyweight champions.
And that's what people were worried about during the Fury fight.
Yeah.
Him getting that cut, if they were going to stop the fight, it would have messed up the Wilder-Fury rematch.
Yeah.
I think they both thought they had to take another fight before they fought each other. That was the whole deal coming into it. So it makes sense he's taking another fight, but this is a guy he could slip up and lose to, like Mike was saying.
Yeah.
Because he struggled last fight. I mean, that was there was times in that fight where it looked like he could have messed up and lost that fight against Ortiz. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think he needs to go into this fight into the rematch and just destroy him.
He has to go into this fight. He has to make a statement.
3 or 4 rounds.
He's got to.
Because I think he weighed, 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Ooh, he can't take that.
Yeah.
He can't do that.
No, absolutely not. Of course, our good friend, Lisa Veltri.
Yeah.
Speaking of Roy Jones Jr., their wonderful promotions over there, Lisa Veltri says, money.
Yeah.
Cha-ching, baby. I can't disagree with her. I mean, Obviously, she's a part of her promotion over there. So if there's money to be made,
Go get it.
Go get it.
Yeah,
And if he can get in there and get, and take care of Luis Ortiz, like you said, with pride on the line because he did struggle against him. If he can dispose of him early, get a little bit of that mystique back of saying, hey, no. The one guy that kind of gave me some trouble, I went back and I took care of. There's another line for your Tyson Fury matchup right there. But that's going to be November 23rd here in Vegas, man. That's
T-Mobile.
That's going to be so good because
get those passes, bro.
Oh man, you want an upset at this point?
No.
Or do you want Tyson Fury Wilder?
You know what? And that's a good point that you brought up because it's boxing. Everyone is set up to lose. Someone's set up to win.
Yeah.
So if Fury loses, I mean not Fury, but if Deontay loses, you know what? That's what happens in boxing. You need to get back in line and do your thing. And I think this is something that we talked about again. Not being the purest follower of boxing like you have. It was something I followed back in the day. It's hilarious how when you start boxing, those 3 wins can you can go 11-0, then you lose 2 in a row, and you're done. You're done. But if you got your resume, you got some belts, and then you lose on the back end, you're like, you know what? We're gonna keep bringing you back. You put on a good show. People want to see you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the next things we're going to talk about in the next segment. About boxers, but it just amazes me how that happens. And these guys. That's why I think boxing should be that. If you're good, if you can bring some entertainment like UFC. UFC, it really doesn't judge you. They judge you about the show that you put on.
Right.
In boxing, it's a little different. And again, that's just
I
my
mean,
opinion.
you
folks.
can have the losses in MMA and still and bounce back. Boxing's a little more unforgiving unless you have that fighter friendly style. I have it here on my notes. John Molina Jr. Had that fan friendly style. Would be down in some classic fights. Would be down and like against Mickey Bay and come back with that concussive power. Win some crazy fights. Lose some crazy fights. But it's like Arturo Gatti or some of these guys that would just have that. Their power always kept them in it.
Right.
And they had that fan-friendly style of just bringing it every single time. And in boxing, like you said, a little bit later, guys, people are more willing to pay for that.
Okay.
There you go. So we're going to take a quick little break here, 30 seconds. We're going to be right back with you. Looking ahead this weekend to the big middleweight fight, the UFC levels.
Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
This is your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
Tune in to Let the Ball Bounce on Gorilla Cross Radio.
Every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time.
And every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Coast time. Your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
And if you scared,
you better go to church. Yo, you tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
You scared? You better go to church. I see you laugh every time that plays.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
I do. I laugh every time. Man,
You better go to church.
because that's a very
It's pretty
aggressive promo. That's like,
It is.
if you're scared, you better go to church. Like Ice Cube's gonna come
Yeah.
out and gank somebody or something like that, man.
I promise we'll have more commercials soon.
Oh, we definitely
I
will.
love that show, though. I love that show. You can find that show right here on Gorilla Cross Radio. But it's just you know what, Mike? We need to write some super aggressive.
Promos.
Yeah, just totally against who we are as people. Just opposite of who we are as radio hosts.
We can do that.
It'd be like, you listen to this show, you gonna get these hands.
We'll eat babies.
Final countdown. Final day of your life.
Yeah, about a day, I'm punching through Facebook. Things like that. Something. We need to get super aggressive. I think that's what.
What do you
fans are
predict? Pain.
at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. T. Pain. Yeah. Speaking of pain, UFC 243 from Melbourne, Australia. This weekend, a great one. Robert the Reaper Whitaker versus Israel Adesanya. The Last Style Bender, which I really like that nickname. The Last Style Bender. If you're a fan of The Last Airbender.
I was going to
cartoon
say,
show.
is that, yeah.
If anyone has kids, I have kids. I have kids, and we watch that show religiously. So the last style bender, I thought was like, oh, that's really cool. That's a really cool nickname. But that is a recipe for pain right there. And you know what? I like Whitaker's other unofficial nickname, Bobby Knuckles, because this guy will put those hands on you. The biggest thing I see looking here at this main event is can Whitaker avoid enough damage to get and land those big shots that he needs to, because Adesanya is masterful with his defense, and Bobby Knuckles seems to take a lot of hits to land those big ones. He'll take 2 or 3 to land that big one. Can he survive this type of matchup with a guy who is in Adesanya, who is this accurate and this strong, and a guy who is hard to hit? Looking at it just on paper, Mike. What we kind of looked over a little bit.
Sure.
What do you see? What are your thoughts?
But it's so hard when I look at these fights. Styles are different. One guy's hyper aggressive, as far as coming in. That's Whitaker. But Adesanya, he's fluid.
Yeah.
He has a fluid style, and I think that's the best way that I can get it, because he's technical in so many different aspects. It's just not about the boxing. His ground game is tight. So it's I was just looking at this whole card, man. In fact, I'm upset that Holly Holmes' match has been canceled.
Yeah.
But this whole matchup is great. And this fight right here, you know what? I call it Israel probably in 4. In 4. Yeah, that's right. I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
I'm putting
Israel
in 4.
I like it.
Well, you know what? Because as you say, Bobby Knuckles ain't no punk.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep my man off of him. He's going to try to corner him. But, when it comes down to it, I think Israel's going to be able to do the things that he has to do and get him out here and get him on the ground and, get a submission on him.
I think the biggest thing coming out of here for me, what I'm looking for is Robert Whitaker healthy? Yeah, he's had 2 years where he's dealt with injuries and just really horrible luck. And, ever since he won the belt, basically, he's kind of been sidelined. So is this guy healthy enough to do the things that he needs to do? And of course, Israel Adesanya, he's going to be attacking that lead leg. You don't want a power puncher like Bobby Knuckles just loading up and throwing at your head. You're going to, want to change levels. And that's the thing. Adesanya's, he's not a ground game guy. He's not going to be shooting for takedowns. He's not going to be shooting for, he's not doing jujitsu and things like that. So it's going to be stand up. So is Robert Whitaker going to want to take him down to the ground? Mix it up a little bit. He's going to shoot. If he doesn't have success, he's gotten to this point with the power in his punches. But is he going to stand there and try to trade with him? Or is he going to try to mix it up, bring this guy down to where he hasn't been, and really mix it up on the ground with him?
Right.
That's going to be key. And I think, there are tides. I see tides in MMA and fighting and things like that. I'm going to lean with Adesanya in this one. I think he takes this in the main event of UFC 243. I don't see him knocking out Robert Whitaker.
No.
I can see him winning on a decision, just outpointing him, outclassing him with his striking and things like that. So, and like you said earlier, Holly Holm, her fight is removed. She had to back out. But still a lot of good fights on this card. Local guy, Dan Hooker, against the always fun Raging Al Ayaquita. That's going to be a really...
That's right. It must be a school where you learn these things.
When in doubt, just say it with some flair. Tied to a Vasa.
You go on the UFC media website, too, and push play, and they say their own name.
Yeah, they say their names.
See, yeah,
I'm not
learning. I don't have any trick. You exposed my trick, man. You go on the press website, and they have the guys, and they call them out.
Thank you, Quan. Thank you. You won't even give me damn names.
First episode of My Secret's Gone. First episode of My Secret's Gone. And, of course, local favorite Megan Anderson is also on this card. Really good card, and I tell you what, it's a lot of fun because they have a chance, and a very realistic chance, to break the UFC's all-time attendance record, which was set in this very same stadium, Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. The record is 56,214. paid attendance, which was UFC 193, which was where Holly Holm
Put them feet. I was gonna say them hands.
Yeah.
kicked Ronda Rousey's head to the shadow world.
Like, where am I? Who am I? Get all these people away from me. Like, it's just one, Ronda. It's just
absolutely.
And why did the home fight get canceled?
Which home fight?
the second rise.
This one.
The Holly Holm fight.
Holly Holm.
I think you mean the home
The
fight.
home.
The Holly.
Holm.
She had an injury.
Okay.
Yeah, Holly pulled out with an injury, which she rarely does.
Yeah.
She's really resilient, man.
She's a gamer.
Yeah, she's
Jesus
a gamer.
Christ, she's 37.
Yeah.
Wow.
Former, former champion. 37 years old. She doesn't show it though.
No,
man.
no, not at all.
She's lost some close fights here recently, but man, what a fighter she is.
Women seem like they can go a little longer, as far as their age, that. And I don't know from an athletic standpoint, maybe they haven't fought as long. I don't know, but
I think it's the fact that there's not a
lot
outside
of
Amanda Nunes and maybe Cyborg and Holly Holm. Not a ton of them are big punchers, so they're not all absorbing a lot of like heavy shots. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's ladies who do it with like Rose and Joanna, and these ladies who do it with volumes of punches and things. But I mean, there's difference between taking a shot from Rose and taking a shot from Robert Whittaker or Daniel Cormier or one of these guys. So maybe that's it. That would be my breakfast. Yeah, that would be my best guess right there. So before we sign off here, man, a lot of good stuff going out there. And of course, we would be regress if we didn't mention Conor McGregor, of course, making his points known, tweeting out in mystery, January 25th or whatever. Possible matchups for Conor coming back. Nate Diaz, we could see Nate Diaz 3 with Conor McGregor. Justin Gaethje, which would be fun. That would be my money right there. Those two guys beating the ever living crap at each other. And of course, Frankie Edgar was mentioned by Ariel Helwani, sports journalist Ariel Helwani, on his show the other day. That would be an intriguing matchup. That was a matchup that was supposed to happen a couple of years ago. Something happened, and then Frankie couldn't fight him. But that was a fight that Frankie and Conor both had, I believe, had agreed to face each other. So
okay,
a couple years later, Frankie is not necessarily in his prime anymore, but he still throws punches and bunches, and has a quick little sucker right there. So it'll be interesting to see as we get closer to the end of the year. More things will start taking shape. Conor McGregor and company coming back to the UFC.
Didn't Nate Diaz just win a fight?
Yeah, he did. He finally got back in the cage, man.
Those boys are amazing.
Hey, man.
Some weed smoking SOBs, but they handle their business. They handle their business.
Well, that's it for us today on Levels. MP, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, Cassandra Cousineau will be in studio to join me, my regular co-host on there, Quan59. Thank you so much for jumping in and chatting a little bit boxing. Thank all of you who are watching live, leaving comments. We appreciate it, liking the page, and for listening.
Please come back in spite of me.
Please come back.
In spite of me. In spite of me.
It's all right. It's all right. We love you, MP. We love you, man. So for all of us here at Gorilla Cross Studios, Jeremy Long, Michael Price, Quan59. We'll see you next week.
If you're scared, you better go to church.
Be aggressive.